I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is the Readathon. And I'm here with our very special guest for the first time, I think, on the Readathon. No, second time on the Readathon. Right. Maggie Freleng.
This is the second time. Hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Maggie, how are you?
I am well, Rebecca. How are you doing?
Good. I was just telling you before we taped that I'm having a White Claw in honor of the memes around Judge Bev Cannoni. I'm not saying that she likes White Claw. I don't even know if she does, but it's a funny set of tweets about her liking White Claw. So
I have so many questions about her. That's mostly what I wanted to do, is come on here and just pose a lot of questions.
Oh, let's do it. So the trial's over. Karen Read has been found not guilty on all the major charges except for that OUI, which, let's face it, like 2/3 of Massachusetts people have one of those. That's a joke. But it is very not uncommon in Massachusetts.
Let me say something. I lived in Massachusetts for a little bit,
yes,
as some people might know. And yes, when you're driving on these like little rural country roads, everyone's drinking and driving.
Yeah. And a lot of people have, I live in New Hampshire and it's the same. And I have in my close friend group, 2 to 3. I've never come close but when I moved here, I remember in like the 90s, I was like, oh my God, I've never heard of the term road soda before I moved here.
I wonder if it's less life ruining than in New York, because
I think so.
Because in New York, it's really like your life is over.
Right. Well, Karen Read didn't even lose her license. She got probation and alcohol, education counseling. In New Hampshire, you lose your license for a year if you've had an OUI or if it at a certain level. I don't know if that's with all cases, but like a lot of the lawyers here, this is a very lawyer-rich culture, and a lot of the lawyers have on their web pages like DUI right on the top. So you watched the trial, right?
I did. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I listened to the Readathon and then I watched Microdots.
Okay.
In terms of actually watching the trial, if it was in a Microdots video. And then I watched the verdict days, and the closing arguments.
You watched the closing arguments.
I did watch the closing arguments.
One of my favorite slapbacks I get on Twitter, like I just got one today, is obviously she didn't watch the trial. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, bitch? I watched every second of this trial.
Oh, wait, here we go. Rebecca, I got my lovely boyfriend to bring me wine. He listens to the Readathon with me.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Rebecca says hi, but you can't hear.
Hello. I love hearing I have a listener that is involuntarily being subjected to my voice.
He loves it. He's totally interested. I mean, it's crazy. It's
amazing.
Just crazy.
We didn't get to tell people who you are. So do you want to just like quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Maggie Freleng. I am an investigative journalist. That's who I am.
Pulitzer winner.
Yes, that is true.
Teacher of journalism.
I do. Unfortunately, I haven't taught the last year because since I moved, I can't teach in New York anymore. Bummer.
And you also have podcasts that you are associated with.
I do Wrongful Conviction. I have a new show. Okay, I know a lot of listeners here love Bone Valley. Maybe that's more crime writers. But follow the feed if you haven't, because my new show, Bone Valley Season 3, is coming out in that feed.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm. July 31st.
Bone Valley Season 3?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the Bone Valley title on your new show?
It's called Graves County. Mm-hmm.
This is like Bear Brook. This is like Jason now just doing other stories and we're just throwing it in the Bear Brook because I'm like, it's you, Jason, and it fits. And you can just, the first episode, be like, it's 40 miles from Bear Brook, but let's go. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. I think today, I'm not big on social media, but I think today they dropped me and Gilbert in conversation, one of a few teasers we're doing for his series and my series, and kind of getting listeners that love him to know me, so they love our show. So
isn't he the sweetest?
We partied hard in New York. He met my mother.
I love that.
Good times.
I love that.
He's amazing. Gilbert is a true, genuine person.
I have a question for you related to Gilbert's work, and this is not about Gilbert. This is about other people. Why the hell do the Prosecutors podcast love Gilbert and think that Leo Schofield was totally unjustly convicted and yada, 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 and they're such shit about everything else? What the hell is with that?
It's so crazy. I got a nasty comment yesterday. Someone was like, she can't be trusted. She's best friends with the prosecutors. I was like, I don't know where you're getting that I'm best friends with the prosecutors, but let's clear it up. That's not true. Yeah. At the very beginning, before they got super, whatever words you want to use.
Irresponsible, mean, bad, and with bad takes?
Yes. I'm going to go with irresponsible for sure. Yeah, they were starting a podcast. I thought, hey, I do this work. It would be great to know some prosecutors who want to talk with me. And at first they did. They covered some of my cases. They do strongly believe in Temujin Kensu's innocence. They helped me put some of my cases out there. But yeah, it's
odd.
It's
odd.
odd.
I mean, their takes are like, they believe in this whole innocence fraud thing. And they're like, innocence fraud is a big problem. I'm like, it's really not. It's really just like a bunch of guys in prison writing to the Innocence Project and getting their letters rejected. Like, that's what actually innocence fraud is or whatever. But like, that's not even fraud. A lot of those guys are innocent and they just don't get paid attention to. But like, the idea that somebody like me is out there talking about someone like Karen Read, whose case, as we've discussed in the show before, is wildly important for reasons aside from what the actual facts of her case. Like, I'm perpetrating a fraud. I just find that deeply funny in a way.
Well, I thought yesterday was really funny too when again, I don't social media. So yesterday was the first time I actually went on Twitter because I was like, what the fuck is Rebecca tweeting right now?
You dipped in.
And I dipped in like really very quick. And I was just seeing what you tweeted before on your page. And it was so interesting to see them now suddenly turning conspiracy theory when the verdict is not going to go the way they want it to go.
Exactly. Now it's got to be a conspiracy, that there's a plant on the jury. The other thing that's really disappointing to me is you have all these, innocence fraud types like Jennifer Coffendander, who for some reason thinks the Sandra Birchmore case is legit and the Karen Read case is totally a lie, even though it's all of the same people involved. You have someone like her, someone like that nutty lawyer, Wendy Murphy, saying justice wasn't served. The jury got it wrong. Clearly this was a fraud of its own kind. And I'm like, I 100% guarantee you all these same people would say that Adnan Syed is guilty because he was convicted of a jury of his peers, or so-and-so is guilty. Like, they see that as factual proof of someone's guilt, unless they don't go the way they want it to go. It's wild. Some of these people have like law enforcement and lawyer backgrounds. I'm like, the hell?
I mean, yeah, the prosecutors are practicing prosecutors.
Yes. That being said, I happen to know some prosecutors who are not bananas, who call them as, I mean, they may have a point of view. Like, I like to think my office wouldn't do XYZ. I was just actually on, it was right after the verdict. It wasn't one of my Court TV appearances, but it was after the verdict. I was watching one of the local newscasts, and they have been doing in-depth coverage of this case. And they had they broke into General Hospital and they were just covering the verdict, right? And they had a guy on who used to work for the Suffolk County DA's office. And I think he may have been the Suffolk County DA. I'm not sure, but he was it was a higher up in the Suffolk County DA's office. And he was very frank about how he would not have prosecuted this case. Once she didn't plea out, he didn't understand why the prosecutor made the decisions he did. He's like, even if he believed she was guilty, the case clearly wasn't there, and I would never have brought this to trial. And I don't like his interactions with the cops that work with him. Like, he was just really frank about that. And I'm like, this is a person who has political reasons to not say anything bad about Michael Morrissey. And he was just very comfortable being like, this was a huge mistake. Like, a lot of people are going to pay for this because of this man's decision to go all committed on this Karen Read thing.
And why was he? Why, I get very conspiratorial. And, this is the thing. I don't, people say conspiracy theory in a bad way, but I don't believe that.
No, I don't either.
The world that I work in.
Conspiracy theory is that people have agreed to do something together. Right. That's literally what it means.
Totally. And these things happen. I mean, the city of Chicago is about to go completely bankrupt because of nefarious cops wrongfully convicting people. It happens,
Yeah.
So
all the time.
To think it doesn't. But so why did he go all in? Why?
I think that I think it was in part political. I believed he read the tea leaves wrong.
Yeah.
I think he didn't like that she fought back and brought in these high-powered attorneys and made him look silly. I think there was a lot of pressure. This is my opinion. I think that he knew, I don't know, and no one knows what the federal investigation is or was about. It's interesting. Alan Jackson went on a local radio show today in Boston and said that Hank Brennan took a lot of glee in announcing that the FBI investigation was allegedly over. He used the word allegedly. So that signals something to me. But I think that he is very likely the target or sub-target of a federal investigation, or was at that time. And if he didn't prosecute the case, they'd have the ability to do something in a way. You know how like that jurisdictionally, like one jurisdiction, whether it's federal or local or a different county or a different state, they'll wait until this thing is done before they do another thing. So keeping Karen Read on trial and then having the mistrial and then, you know, not dropping the indictment buys him time with the feds. I mean, so that's the only thing I can think of, other than the fact that there's also like a tremendous amount of misogyny involved in this case. Just look at the way people talk about Karen Read. Like, it's so sexist. It's unbelievably sexist.
I mean, you know, I would just say cops, but that's just me.
Yeah. But even like citizens watching the case, people in my social media, people listening to this podcast right now are like, I don't like her. I don't like her affect. I don't like the way. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't know her.
I really liked you and Mel talking about this. I was going to say today, but you talked about it yesterday. I listened today. Talking, you know, Mel, I know, is very involved with Darlie and Pam Smart, Darlie Routier. And I liked her comparison to Karen. Just like any high profile case of a woman that goes to trial, she's going to be picked apart no matter
That's
what.
right. And the glee. I mean, even if you take somebody like Casey Anthony, who I think broadly most of us think more likely killed her daughter than didn't kill her daughter. The way people talk about Casey Anthony is so different than the way people would talk about a man who was accused of exactly the same crime. He would just be like evil, you know, a bad guy, an abuser, a devil, whatever. But the woman is a witch. Let's make a character of her and let's talk about it forever. And then let's use her as the exemplar of every evil, slutty, whatever woman. I use the word slutty and not for me, but for like the Avatar people, who's walking around in the world like that. I see people compare Karen Read to Casey Anthony. And I'm like, you would never compare Ted Bundy to somebody who was suspected of committing a different kind of crime in a completely different circumstance. But the women, evil women thing, people fucking love it. And there's so much glee around it.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I look at a lot of wrongful conviction cases for women and it's all, you know, Patty Pruitt, this woman, she actually just was granted clemency in Missouri, which never happens. But I covered her case and she was really convicted for having crime novels next to her bed, you know. Like, I have crime novels.
Lock
you know,
me up.
I'm sure you have. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, her husband is murdered and she has crime novels and they're like, she's trashy and slutty.
Must
she
have
totally
done
did
it.
this. Yep, she did it.
She listens to wrongful convictions in Bone Valley. She must have done it. She must have learned
exactly
from those shows. You know, I'll say, and I said this in the show before, and, you know, I believe that Jen McCabe had a significant role in manipulating what the police perception of this case was. I know that she went to talk to the police in the DA's office dozens and dozens of times. I know, and I can't share how I know, that she has a nickname within those offices that is not an unfavorable nickname. And she was definitely like, and had her hands on. I mean, as I said in the show before, I think she's just a controlling soccer mom who can't imagine not having her hands on everything happening around her and knowing what's going on.
Yes.
That being said, the fact that she has been made central as the villain in the Karen Read case and not Brian Albert, her brother-in-law, who is 100% complicit with whatever story she's telling, because that's his wife's sister. They are family. Brian Higgins is a whole separate thing. I think people, the Higgy conversation is a little bit different. But you can't villainize Jen McCabe without villainizing Brian Albert, who was central, who's on every one of those text threads, and who knew enough to shut the fuck up. Just because she couldn't and he could does not make him any less responsible for all of the stuff that happened with manipulating law enforcement. He is a fucking cop. Like, he knew what to do. Am I wrong?
He did.
I'm not saying like I love Jen McCabe. I'm saying like, why is she worse?
No, it's just pointing out again that women are going to get it worse.
Yeah. Matt McCabe is the one who said, if she pleads out, it'll be over. If she fights, it'll be a whole thing. Yeah, guess what? It's a whole episode, Matt. Whole episode. That's what we just had. Thanks to you motherfuckers who just wouldn't like be honest about whatever the hell happened that night, even if it was something super stupid. Like John
So
O'Keefe.
these are the questions that I have.
Yeah.
Okay, you were just going to say like what was super stupid. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, ask your questions. I've been monologuing.
I'm just like, I have so many questions though. Okay, so to that though, like, I do the work that I do, specifically working the criminal legal system, not only to help the people that are done wrong, but for accountability. Like, I want accountability when bad people do bad things.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, like, will there be any kind of accountability with anybody in this case? Morrissey, I mean, Proctor got fired, but like, are we seeing charges? I guess we don't even have answers with the federal investigation, but Bev, like, is she just going to go retire and live her life, almost ruining a woman's life?
Bev is going to retire and live her life. And I don't exactly see Bev the way others see her. I see her as a nearly retired judge who basically has lost her edge and, is prosecution friendly. And even though she used to be a defense attorney, I don't understand that. But, I think she made a lot of very poor decisions in this. And I see them as poor decisions. I don't see them as evil decisions, but that's just my opinion. So she's just going to retire, and that's going to be that. She's like Woman of the Year this year. She's going to retire on a high. She oversaw the most difficult, complicated, high-profile case in the history of Norfolk County, blah, 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 blah. So let's take Bev off the board.
But you don't think she knows her ruling? You don't think she...
I think she's going to get that feedback, and she won't care.
She won't care.
Yeah, because I think that she sees all of the stuff around Karen Read as a circus, and she will put anything about her overseeing the case into it's part of the circus pile. Like, she's not going to be, I don't think at this point in her life she's going to be thoughtful about it. I mean, if she were a man, our conversations about her would be very different. It would be like, look at this fucking guy, right? And he's just going to retire and he'll be fine. But again, she's a woman, so it's much easier to like create a character out of her and make her like a... But I just think she's either incompetent or nearly retired and just fucking done with it, or, maybe has cognitive decline or like long COVID or something.
But see, either way, to me, those are not excuses, and someone should be held accountable for what happened there.
It's whoever decided to not basically reassign her, or maybe
reassign her.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. I think that's really scary, and we like joke all the time about like old people should like redo their driver's license so we can make sure they could drive. Like, how about we make sure someone is not making bad rulings in court to ruin someone's life? Because if there's anything I know and it's that once you are in prison and convicted, it is nearly impossible to get out. And you said it so well that, or maybe, one of you guys on the podcast, you or Mel, that Karen is just so lucky that she had the privilege in so many ways to have this be high profile enough that these things were caught, and people like Colin Miller were saying, oh, she has a chance for appeal with this. And we're keeping record of these things that most people do not have.
It is also rare, and I know that there's a kind of a debate going on my page right now about like we need to stop paying attention to this because there's all these like black and brown people who are this happens to them. I'm like, we know, like we absolutely know that, and one does not preclude the other. What's the reason this case is important is because we are seeing it in real time, and millions of people believe it. And that's just not something that typically happens. Like, how many wrongful convictions we hear about after someone's been in prison for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Finally, the Innocence Project takes up their case. Finally, they're able to get some visibility. Finally, they're able to meet a podcaster like you. Finally, they're able to get a few thousand people to pay attention. This case is so important because, as somebody on my page pointed out, these are future jurors, these millions of people. They are future jurors. They also are potential future allies. They're potential future voters. Michael Morrissey is like in his 13th term or something as district attorney of Norfolk County. I think that he probably wanted to win this case so he could not rerun on a bang. I don't know if he's going to rerun or not. I would be surprised if he did at this point. But what his accountability is going to be is... losing his legacy, as it were, if nothing else happens to him. And I do firmly believe the federal investigation had something to do with him. Because the fact that they were also doing Sandra Birchmore, the thing those two cases have in common are these few cops, Michael Morrissey and the ME's office, which I think we have now learned is under distinct pressure from these offices of these district attorneys and cops.
And that happens all the
time. They're not fact finders. They are on a mission, all these people.
What case was it? I was just working on a case where it's the Ellen Greenberg case in Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, yes. This is the one where Josh Shapiro knew she was murdered and pretended she wasn't murdered, yes.
Yep, that basically ruined Shapiro's bid for VP was because of how horribly this was handled. But Greenberg's death certificate was originally homicide. And then after meeting with the district attorney and the lead detectives, it was suddenly changed to suicide. Like, that is so real. This happens. And I think that's what made me the most mad with this case is just people just freaking bootlicking and not even thinking that this shit happens.
It happens all the time.
It happens.
That's right. It happened in the Jason Carroll case that the medical examiner changed his opinion about the kind of weapon that was used. I believe that's what he changed his opinion about against Sharon Johnson, that it was all these deep stab wounds, right? And then when Jason Carroll became a suspect later, all of a sudden his tiny little pocket knife was the murder weapon. And it's just like, the actual fuck. Like, and I live in New Hampshire where they don't believe they have any wrongful convictions. Certainly they do. But for the most part, having like written books and dealt with these people in the DA's office, they're not waking up in the morning and thinking, how can I fuck this person over? And I used to think that like that wasn't happening anywhere. And I've actually come to believe that in this case, the Karen Read case and in other cases, I do think there are actors in this case, especially seeing social media, some of them definitely posting a sock puppet accounts.
I've heard your evolution because at the beginning you didn't.
No, they literally wake up and say, how can I fuck her over? I really think they do.
Yeah. I mean, also I've heard your evolution in terms of like the conspiracy theory in terms of this case.
Yeah.
Like at first you were very like, I don't know.
Well, at first, I mean, I still to some extent think there were two separate things going on. I think that Proctor like is probably a shortcut taker to get convictions and that he did do all this shit to try to like get it to happen quickly. And I think, and also he doesn't like women, clearly from all of his texts. And I think that the McAlberts had something, a part of the story, that they actively worked together to collude, as Alan Jackson rightly pointed out, that's collusion language, textbook collusion, to cover up. Initially, I thought it might be something happening in the house that had nothing to do with Karen Read until I saw the fucking dog bites. That changes everything. Changes everything. And I know that there are people listening right now. They have told me so. They believe that Judd Welcher's and what's-his-face's Shannon Burgess's data is more compelling than all the other physical evidence in this case. And I'm like, I love you guys. You're civil. You have discourse in a way that I appreciate. You're not just, I feel like she did it, all that bullshit. But I just cannot weigh any of this arbitrary data evidence that they had to find one person in the world who thought it was true.
Absurd. And like, that's the thing. It's very hard to decipher when I'm just listening to you guys on the podcast. What is in front of the jury and what's not. I know you distinguish, but then I'll miss it and you guys start talking. But it as a juror, there are a few things you guys pointed out that they had to have picked up on how they had to have picked up on something is going on that should not be going on, whether it was the FBI investigation, Michael Proctor, like they knew something was up. They had to know something was up.
Carrie Roberts' testimony is underrated about how damning it was. It really is.
Devers, I also want to know.
So damning. All right, let's talk about her.
I want to know what's going to happen to her. I woke up thinking, I was like,
nothing.
So she's fired. I mean, they must have been like,
nothing's going to happen to her. She went and did exactly what her boss wanted her to do. They're going to be like, they got it wrong. Bad. You did everything right, Kay. Little Miss Dever. I'm sure they all call her Deaver at work and she doesn't complain. But yeah, she's fine. They're going to thick blue line around her. It's not a thin blue line and it's not a blue wall. It's a blue building and a thick ass blue line. They're just going to envelop her. She's going to be given some assignment where she doesn't have any public interaction for a while and she will be fucking fine. I guarantee she'll be fine.
It's so funny because even though she did what they wanted, I was still like, the questions that he asked, there was ones that she just couldn't lie about. Like, I remember there were ones I was like, ooh, that's really not good for them. The jury can freaking tell. So I was thinking like, they're going to be like, yeah, you do what we asked, but it still was terrible for us. Goodbye. See you later.
The most interesting thing to me about this trial that came out in closing was Alan Jackson saying, like, you saw the police flex their power in front of you. You saw it. I don't have to convince you. They did it in this courtroom. And the fact that Buchanan had been lurking right outside the door as the juries walked in for final arguments, like, it's why? I mean, if they really believe that Karen Read killed John O'Keefe, if they really believe it, Why weren't there his fellow officers in court every single day for this trial? You've seen trials before of cops who've died. It's a tiny courtroom, sure. If a bunch of cops wanted to show up, they probably would have moved it to a bigger courtroom so a bunch of uniformed cops could show up every day. That happens all the time. It's a political move. It happens all the time. All of these cops in Boston know that she didn't kill him, and they refuse to get behind the party line on this. All of these like state cops, all of these city cops, none of the state cops are rallying around fucking Michael Proctor and Yuri Buchanan and Brian Tully. You don't see them giving interviews to 2020 and Dateline saying my colleague is a good guy. None of them. None. Yeah. And you even saw that when the George Floyd trial, right? You saw cops rallying around Derek Chauvin and all of his fellow murderers. Like, you're so right. I wasn't even thinking. Yeah, there's none of that here. That is so telling, especially in a clannish place like Boston. Like Boston is so clannish.
The fact that this took place in Boston too, and it's all white folks, is so interesting because I will just say,
except the jury foreman.
Oh, really? I was going to ask you, I have just so many questions, but Boston is one of the most segregated, racist, bigoted places.
It's probably the most racist city in the United States.
I'm going to go next to Ohio. Anywhere in Ohio you go, it's going to be the most racist place.
And Boston gets away with being the most racist city in the United States because it is in this quote progressive democratic place, but these are racist Democrats. People don't understand.
Exactly.
They're like old Southern style Democrats, like Dixie Democrats up here in Boston.
It is gross. Like when I was a kid and was like, I need to leave New York because of course it's in New York too. I was like, I'm going to go to Massachusetts. It's so blue and liberal and gay. And then I got there and was like, what the fuck? This is the most racist place I've ever been. Get me back to New York. Like, what the hell is going on right now? How long do you think before members of the jury start coming forward and talking?
They already have.
What?
One of them gave an interview to TMZ today. There's 3 of them that have contacted Turtle
What have
Boy.
they said? Okay. I didn't know this.
The TMZ interview, the guy said that he believed Karen Read was factually innocent. Other people on the juror also believed she was factually innocent, and it was an interesting makeup. It's
well, you talked a lot about them and how allegedly they had notebooks, and they sounded like a very astute jury.
Although the notebook person was not allowed to deliberate, which is so funny to me. The first one with 5 notebooks.
Yeah.
Imagine sitting there for 3 months and writing on 5 fucking notebooks and then being like, you're an alternate. I'd be like, dude, can I sell my notebooks on eBay? No, because the court keeps them after.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you got 5. You could slip one in a backpack.
You'd think. I mean, that's what happened on a Pam Smart. There was a juror who was an alternate who was leaving her, recording herself at night talking about the case. It was total misconduct. It was wild. Anyway, what were your other questions? You said you had a bunch of questions.
Well, yeah, I do. I wanted to know about the jury. Like, what do you think they're going to say? But now you could tell me what they have said.
Well, the guy who gave an interview as of this taping, and there might be another one out by the time this comes out later tonight, who the hell knows? He said that he believed Karen Read was factually innocent, and that other people on the jury felt like they didn't know. Some people felt like they didn't know, but the state didn't prove their case. And he said even the people who thought she may have did it, weren't close to the state proving their case. As far as the oopsie daisy verdict, no verdict thing, he said it had something to do with the OUI charge, but it wasn't clear in the TMZ article. And I still stand by the fact that either they thought they were going to make a mistake on the form or they did make a mistake on the form. Because as Kevin points out, 12 people all of a sudden weren't like, oh, you've changed your mind. Okay, let's all change our minds too. Because that was within an hour that all happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So crazy. So freaking
I think
crazy.
that the defense did there were so many points in the trial where I was like, I'm afraid she's going to be convicted. There were so many points. And there were other points where I was like, today I feel like she's not going to be convicted. But there were a lot of points where I felt that near the end, I was sure that she was not going to be convicted, but I thought it might be a hung jury. And I just feel so happy that they saw, granted, I went into it with a point of view, but I did my best to sort of be like, what is the jury seeing? Because I know that there's stuff they don't know. What are they actually seeing?
Right. And that's what I was saying was so confusing for me because I didn't know some of the things that they saw or didn't see that you guys were talking about that the jury didn't know.
Yeah. But they saw, probably the most powerful thing they saw after all the physical evidence that the defense presented was the obfuscation of the cops and the obfuscation of the prosecution witnesses. Even their friendly witnesses, like their doctor, was a prick. Their data witnesses were kind of prickish.
Oh, you were going to talk about the other female cop who you thought gave the most damning testimony.
Oh, Dever?
No, not Dever, the other one. You mentioned another person, and then I rudely interrupted you
Oh,
about
no,
Dever.
you said it was Dever. Oh, I didn't say it was a cop. No, I talked about Carrie Roberts.
Carrie Roberts, yes.
Who I thought,
Okay.
I mean, Jen McCabe was on the stand for 3 or 4 days. And that was really just an exercise in demonstrating, I think, to the jury. And I was so worried because I really still thought the defense was going with a third party culprit thing at that point because they said they were gonna. So I thought a lot of her questioning was going to be around that, and then it wasn't, and it was just like, what did you say, what did you do, whatever, and that was just painful, and I think the painfulness was the point. But Carrie Roberts was on the record as saying, and the one thing that didn't come up that I wish had come up, well, it actually did come up in a way. Jen McCabe has said it multiple times before, including the last trial, that she and Carrie Roberts were sitting in the back of a police car with Karen Reed praying when Karen Reed asked her to do the search. She has said that. There's video of their entire time with the cops at the scene. At no point does anybody get in the back of a police car. So that didn't happen. Carrie Roberts saying that Jen is the one who told her. Karen Reed said, I hit him. And only after they worked on that timeline together did that become gelled in her head, was so unbelievably damning because she told the grand jury that she heard I hit him, and then she was forced to admit here that no, I heard it secondhand from Jen McCabe. That was damning. She definitely came across as a person who had been drawn in to keep close to control. And it's like, when's the last time you talked to Jen McCabe? This morning? That was to me like a fucking bombshell moment, even though it was a small moment. It really pointed to, because let's be real, these people are mean. There's a comment right now on our Patreon on the last episode we put out where someone says that I think her husband's friend, or her husband's cousin, was actually bullied by some of these characters in high school and like knew them. Carrie Roberts Jen McCabe made her friend for this purpose. And they essentially both admitted it in a kind of roundabout way. We'd been through a quote trauma together, but then Jen McCabe is inviting Carrie Roberts all the time over. Let's make an arts and crafts timeline together so that you remember and I remember what happened. But we're going to say it's for John O'Keefe's mom. That was wild. I think Carrie Roberts' testimony was way more damning. And I think the fact that she's still hanging out at the VFW with the McCabe's while the verdict is coming in, it just makes me sad. I mean, she is the soccer mom who was inadvertently drawn.
That's what I was going to ask you too. Do you think there's going to be any point that John's family,
no.
John's family,
no.
and then do you think?
No, you know how this works. Prosecutors get in their heads. They have been brought in by the prosecution so many times. I mean, Hank Brennan was hanging out with them. Like, we are your advocate. Forget the evidence. Forget whatever. It's you and me together versus that. But you know what prosecutors do? They weaponize the families all the time.
So no one, are they ever, my partner was asking me this and he was just like, so the case is still open. I was like, I mean, technically, but no one's going to investigate it. In their head, it's closed. In their head, it was Karen.
Yeah, it would be federal. Just like with the Birchmore case. I mean, the Birchmore case was closed. It was called a suicide. They got, the medical examiner to put that on the report, and and Guarino said he found nothing of note in either one of their phones. And then the feds clearly were doing a parallel investigation, just as with this case, came out with a bunch more shit. So if anything happens, it's going to come from that office. And I had no hope before, after the civil rights stuff was shut down, investigation of the police was shut down. I have more hope now, given that they keep delaying the Farwell trial. So I feel like delaying the Farwell trial could be a signal that this has something to do with those cops who were involved in both, and that they felt like they couldn't interfere with the local trial by bringing those cops in, say, as witnesses in this other trial and proving them to be colluding to cover up for this fucking disgusting man and his friends.
Question about some of the reporting. So, as a journalist, I'm very curious. I've heard some of the reporting. It's so interesting when they're supposed to be objective, but I do feel objectively there was one side that was presenting significantly better evidence, and then there was other sides that were just lying.
Yes.
And I felt like in the coverage I was listening to, it did not present it that way. It very much presented equal side reporting. The prosecution said that Karen did this, and then it was just so, I felt balanced in an unbalanced way. Yeah. And I'm just curious what you thought about the reporting, and if, in 2025, we're annoyed at that at this point.
Oh, it sucked. I mean, it was very frustrating because, I was on Court TV last night, and one of the lawyers that I was on with was a guy who had defended Johnny Depp, which was like, oh, he's being really smart about this right now. But then you realize lawyers just have jobs. This is their job, right? Another lawyer I was on with was talking about the Free Karen Read movement and all this stuff. And he was talking about just public opinion generally. And he said, let's be honest, it was not 50-50. It was 85% or more who believed she was innocent, and then 10 to 15%. And that's not just here in front of the courthouse. It's national polling, it's local polling, it's, and they're all seeing the same things that we are seeing. The fact that journalists did not cover it, not that they had to be 85% sure Karen Read was guilty.
No, but that they didn't cover it
every single time they would do a Karen Read story where they do man on the street stuff, it was, she's guilty, she's not guilty, she's guilty, she's not guilty. They'd like alternate talking to people as if, like, Canton has been presented as, quote, a community divided. They are not fucking divided. When there's a fringe group of 10 or 15% of people who believe one thing strongly and everyone else thinks something else, that's not division. That's just majority shit. And it was never presented that way. And
I'll give you an example of another thing, too.
Yeah.
So that's a good, grounds layer. Specifically, also, when the prosecution is saying they found, the microscopic taillight pieces
they keep
or whatever
lying
the fuck
about it.
And then the media will go and the prosecution says this, and they present it like it's a fact.
It's not a
they
fact.
Present it like it's a fact. And I think that is so fucking irresponsible.
It is.
And I am so disgusted by some of these journalists that I have respected, and I've heard their reporting on this.
Yes, it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing to me, too, that the journalists who are capable of doing better just opted out of it altogether. Investigative journalists, the Spotlight team, has completely opted out of this. The Boston Globe has largely opted out of this, except for their live blog and their sometimes funny, sometimes stupid articles about Karen Read stuff. Like, they did an article that I actually loved before the first trial that was like how people are begging off of work to watch the Karen Read trial. Like, someone rescheduled their hysterectomy. It was like the guy going to CrossFit and bringing his phone with him so he could listen to the trial on his headphones instead of his CrossFit trainer. Shit like that. They've loved that sort of novelty circus reporting instead of looking at, I've never seen a report about how many complaints have been lodged against Michael Proctor, Michael Morrissey, Brian Tully, Buchanan. I've never seen a story like that in the Boston Globe. I've never seen a story about, the story I really want to see is about the coordinated social media campaign on the anti-Karen Read side, which if you just dipped into Twitter 6 months ago, you would think it was 50-50 because of this proliferation of sock puppet accounts, which were all clearly coordinating their messaging because every day.
Well, you know that I lived with this as well with the Maura Murray case.
Yes.
I mean, the sock puppet accounts are crazy.
It's insane. It's completely insane. So that's the kind of reporting that's just completely missing. And then when you say it out loud on your podcast or you put it on Twitter, you're just like, oh, she's part of the cult. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was never invited to a meeting where I had to have sex with some person and play volleyball. I'm not in a cult. I'm just calling him as I see him.
I'm just looking at the facts.
I have eyes and ears and a brain, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
it's bad. It's real bad. I think this case is a very, very, very clear example of how the media landscape is broken and not, by the way, giving people what they want that would unbreak them. If there was a local news station that really dug into this, TV news, besides Sue O'Connell and Canton Confidential, which has kind of come the closest to it. But she still always feels the need to put her stake in the ground of what responsible journalism is. And it's like, Sue, we know, just fucking back off on that and give your takes. Your takes are good.
Okay, I was going to say, those were the people that I was listening. It was Dateline. I love Dateline. Listen to them. And they're giving some really bad reporting.
Bad facts.
They're the ones that I listen to, and they're like, and then the prosecution said this, and I'm like, but it's not true.
It's not true.
Why aren't you going to say this isn't
and
true?
It's not my opinion that there's no embedded taillight in his shirt. There was no embedded taillight in his shirt.
Dateline, Sue is saying this. And then I'm like, Andrea Canning, where are the producers? You guys are better than this.
It's upsetting. Yeah, I used to be more upset about it, and then I realized that there's a bunch of people out there who are also willing to do the work. And it's funny working with Mel on this. And Mel has every reason in the world to look at someone like Turtle Boy even more critically than I do. And Mel sometimes tells me that I'm being too critical of Turtle. Mel is like, you got to give him credit. We wouldn't know about this. And I'm like, you're right. You're 100% right. And it's like, if the media is having mainstream media is having its lunch eaten by Aidan Carney. Instead of saying, what can we do that differentiates us and makes us better? Fucking look at what he's doing and do that. What you can be doing is looking how he's building an audience, looking how he's dealing with sources. Why is he trusted? Why do so many people pay attention? And it's not because he has incendiary views around social issues. It's not. It's because he is doing journalism, like real journalism. It's frightening, but true.
You brought up something that not necessarily related to Karen Read, but just in life right now. Like, we as humans have so much more in common than we don't. And the fact that someone like Turtle Boy and someone like Mel, even me, every one of my friends is queer. I'm queer. Like, people like that I hate. But as humans, we have more in common than we don't. And I think, like, really in this moment in life, if those of us that can join together for the greater good, despite our social, political differences, it'll all just be so much better.
Yeah.
It'll all just be so much better.
Yeah.
And like the systems that are oppressing us, but really when you look at it, these cops, these people in power, these governors, these people, we are all little. Turtle Boy is little, you're little, I'm little. Fundamentally, we have the same goals.
That's right. I'm not saying the blame is the same. I mean, granted, there's a human rights stuff in the balance, all the other stuff in the balance. But when people say, I want to take all these people and put them in a basket and throw them in the trash, what you are saying is that even if there are fundamental things upon which we agree that we could build on, we shouldn't even fucking try to do it. And I think that this case is so important because it proves that when people are faced with oppression, when they're faced with something they feel like they can do something together about, they actually do it. And we were in Dedham the other day, and the number of people with pink shirts and MAGA hats on blew my fucking mind. And am I going to not, someone came up to me and recognized me from TikTok.
That's an ally. You
and
take
wanted
her
a photo with me.
Find them.
And was like, I love your TikToks, whatever. I think we're probably kind of different, but you're doing such good work, whatever. And I'm like, how different are we? We're different in that you probably have some fucked up social, like human rights views, but you are going in the right direction. And the fact that you're willing to open your mind and learn makes us way less different than you think. Way less different.
Absolutely. And going back to, the very beginning with Karen, I said to you very early on, the first time I was on this, I said, I hope Karen takes this moment and recognizes the privilege she had in it.
Yeah.
And does something good. Yeah. I would love for Karen Read to reach out and be like, how do I get into wrongful convictions? How do I help prevent wrongful convictions? I hope these people recognize in this moment.
Can I just ask you a quick question before you go?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a team of lawyers and a client become everyone has a fantasy that their lawyer is going to be their best friend and advocate for them, fight for them. And that's not the way it fucking works. All lawyers know each other. They're all friendly with each other. In any other trial, for the most part, Hank Brennan and Alan Jackson, those would be having a beer together after and being like, oh, that was kind of fucked up. Like that happens all the time. We have a fantasy that lawyers are on our side, but no, this is their job, which is why you can't hate a guy for defending Johnny Depp or for Harvey Weinstein, or as Alan Jackson did for Kevin Spacey, because
you know what, my very good friends are currently defending Harvey Weinstein, and you know what they do in their daily business? Free wrongfully convicted people pro bono.
It's how
they take the Weinstein money,
but also Harvey Weinstein has fucking
bono.
rights. I'm sorry,
Everyone
Harvey Weinstein has rights.
Everyone has rights.
Disgusting pig with rights. And so, but what's so unique about this case for me, is so many unique things. One of the unique things is this relationship the lawyers have with each other and with their client. Seeing David Yannetti burst out into tears after this verdict, and hearing Alan Jackson say, this is the most gratifying day of my professional and personal life in the history of my life. It's like, and the fact that these people are choosing to spend time together outside of work when they're not working. Have you ever seen anything like that before? This like, we are a team and we have your fucking back because we know you didn't do it. I've seen it with Innocence Project
I was going to say, the only time I've seen this, is
public
it's
defenders.
It's these people knew she did not do this.
Right.
They knew she did not do this. But even
with the Innocence Project people, it's like, they love their client. They may have a deep relationship with their client. And, this is like what I was saying about Gilbert becoming friends with Leo. It's so unusual. It is still a transactional relationship with lawyers and clients where they can still then go home, have Christmas, put their kids to bed and whatever, and not think about their client for 15 minutes. Doesn't seem like that's the case with this team. This has become their entire lives, and they love her.
It is unusual. And it does make me think something about Karen. Like, I was thinking that in your last episode where, you're talking about all the hate and the off-putting. And it's like, yeah, I know she dated a cop. Again, if people can't tell, I don't fucking like cops. I don't know if her and I would ever fucking get along, but I rooted for her. Like, like, and to me, them liking her tells me like deep down, this woman is a good person. And she's more than just like a cop MAGA person.
She's you. She is a good person.
She is.
She's fun. She's good. She's sassy as fuck. And then when she's been fucked over, she will leave a fucking nasty ass or 50.
No, I loved her. When people were talking about that,
you would do that,
exactly.
Maggie.
I did. No, I listened to those voicemails. I was like, I'd still date her. I don't know. She fucking.
Well,
she was pissed.
As my best friend Molly says, anybody who's lived in New England, has been like, I've gotten fucking voicemails like that.
I'm a fucking New Yorker. Like, I leave voice messages like that.
I think that the jury probably related to her more after hearing those.
No, I think she was really real, and I think the things people hated her, I was like, she's a human and she's a person, and that's again, like, I just really
with a puss, like we all have.
Do you know, my puss would be so fucked up during that trial because I also just got Botox and can't even make a normal puss right now. So just like my face would be twisted.
By the way, you look amazing. You look amazing. I'm not even going to say you don't need Botox because you do look actually amazing. Should I be getting Botox? Is that a thing I should be getting?
You don't?
No.
I'm going to go fucking kill myself. I'm 36 and you look literally younger than I do.
I don't. It's just the lighting in my studio.
No, I know you in person, Rebecca.
I also just like lost a bunch of weight this year, which didn't hurt. But like seriously, it's the lighting in my studio. It like really helps.
I know you in person and you're fucking beautiful. Kevin, so handsome.
I'm getting Botox.
It's preventative.
Kevin has legitimately gotten better looking. I swear to God.
He has. He looks great. He looks great.
I hate men. He's legitimately gotten better looking. And I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you. You are actually snackable now. And if I died, you could get someone else. I'm not 100% sure about me because I'm a woman and I'm over 50, but whatever. Anyway.
We should have a talk about that because my mom, when she was dating in her 60s, she was like, all the guys my age that are attractive want the younger girls.
That's right.
So my mom was,
Maggie, I know you got to go.
I gotta go.
Well, can we talk again about this either in person or on a microphone sometime?
Please. I hope we can talk in person.
We talk about anything else. Like, let's get together on mic, off mic. Let's just chat. I miss you so much.
I miss you so much. And I feel like I talk to Kevin more than you for some reason.
You do,
I don't
because
know why.
He texts you proactively.
He does.
He's in love with you, which, by the way, I am too. So I totally fucking get it.
I know. I love you both. Can we tell what the name of the text group message that Kevin named this?
I named it.
You named it.
Yes. Hottest three-way ever.
Hottest three-way ever.
Because you're in it. That's why.
I mean, I don't think my boyfriend hasn't seen this chat name yet, so I'm really excited for him to see it.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon, okay, Maggie?
Yes, Rebecca.
Thanks
Appreciate
so
it.
much for coming on the Readathon.
Thank you.